Hello everybody, my name is Dawn Campbell at the IAPC&M, and today I'm in I'm not in the hot seat, it's Ruby, it's in the hot seat today. Ruby's a business mastery and mindset queen, and she helps clients set up as queens, aka CEOs of their own businesses. And she does this by helping them to develop their leadership skills, their mindset, and of course that all-important visibility. She's worked for about 11 years in HR, run her own HR consultancy business and her own coaching practice for about 7 years. She's a coach, trainer, speaker, and author of a couple of books. So she's got extensive business knowledge, and she's also trained in the fields of NLP, EFT, and EDT, which is a new dowsing technique, which I'm trying out. And she loves to write. So she's co-authored a couple of books with me, and she's got lots of visibility tips in her book. She's in the process of writing a few more books, not one, but two. When she's not working, she's out and about enjoying Scotland, which is her new home, where she lives with her husband and little dog and 6 chickens, surrounded by books, and she's always got a cappuccino. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Ruby, who's going to bring her chapter to life in our co-authored book, How to Win Clients and, more importantly, Keep Them.
Brilliant. So hi, everybody. I was saying to Dawn just before everyone started that I've got technology issues. So that's what the wonders of living in Scotland. It's stunning, but going through stone walls and having dodgy internet doesn't always work so well. So I'm going to be working from my iPad. I'll share the screen with you. So you'll see me at the beginning, you'll see me at the end. Unfortunately, I won't be able to be seen while it's on, but at least we can work through the content. If you've got any questions, if you want to ask them in the chat box, either directly to me, I can see if it comes up as chat, I can see them, and I can answer questions as we go through. I'm absolutely fine to do that. So I've left us enough time to go through some different content. So just bear with me and I will get the screen up with the slides. So if Dawn, if you can just let me know that you can see the screen.
Yes, I can, thank you.
And fab. Okay, so let me just pop that onto slideshow. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about 3 fabulous ways to create your dream business. And what better time? Obviously, everything's been turned on its head, and now is the perfect time to actually set up a dream business. And if you've already got one, to develop that business into something that you want and to create the success that you're looking for online. Now, how do I change slides on this? So today we're going to be addressing fear, talking about fear and how it can hold you back. We'll be talking about a profitable business model using 5 key steps. And we'll also be talking about building confidence to create discovery calls that convert to clients. Now, what I would say to you is that we've got the book, How to Win and Keep Clients. And what I'm going to be doing is kind of bringing it to life, giving you snapshots of it. But if you want to delve deeper, then check into the book because I explore things in a lot more depth. Today, we're just going to touch on some of the key points. So who am I? Business mastery and mindset queen. Now, working on mindset was really interesting when this title came up because one of my clients chose it and she shared it in my mastermind group and everyone jumped on the bandwagon. I was like, oh, I don't want to own mastery. But when I think of business mastery, and this is what we were talking about in our group, it's around mastering your time. So we work in 90-day blocks. It's around mastering all of the things that you would do as a leader. And so I basically help wannabe queens of business. So it's about stepping up as the CEO of your business, the leader of your business, and all the leadership development that you need to do around that and developing your mindset as well. So it's about mastering your time, mastering your systems within your business, mastering yourself so that you can become the queen of your business. I'm currently accredited senior coach, working on accredited master coach. All the different things that you can see on there, a bit of a content creation machine, and cappuccino is one of my big things. I'm also, I love in my spare time to read, write and do lots of handicrafts like crochet and knitting and card making and all of those kind of things. So as Dawn said, moved to Scotland, so it's beautiful here right now. I'd love to know where you are. If you want to share where you are in the world, that'd be amazing. So what is the biggest obstacle in creating a dream business? Ultimately, it's fear. It's where you hold yourself back by thinking about what other people are going to think about you, what they're saying about you. So it's fear of judgment, fear of rejection, fear of not going out there and saying the right thing, fear of not being successful, fear of being a failure. All of these different fears are ultimately the biggest obstacle in creating a dream business. So where I've said 3 fabulous steps, it is really important that you work on you. And that's why I talk so much around mindset. And it is natural for you to have fear when you're running your own business. It's, it goes without saying, but it's what you do with that fear, and it's how you work with the fear that can help you drive your business forward. I noticed Dawn today shared something around Elizabeth Gilbert and her talking around fear in The Big Magic. If you haven't read it, it's a really good book. And she says how fear is like a passenger, and you need to not let fear drive the car. Fear can go and sit in the back and be put in its place. So over time, I worked on a strategy that I was developing with another coach that I was working with. And my husband and I came up with this acronym over breakfast. So you might have heard of fear, false evidence appearing real. But this little strategy is a brilliant way for you digging deeper into fear. I talk a bit more about it in the book, but it just give you an idea of what you can do to get started today if you find fear is one of the problems that come up for you. I know for me, it's one of the big things I've always had to work on. My go-to is fear. So I've had to learn strategies to get over that and to work through it. It's not to say it doesn't still come up, but I deal with it a lot quicker. And I have a lot of my clients have a lot of fear, and that's one of the biggest mindset areas that I work with. So let's go through the acronym together. So F is for feelings. How are you feeling? Because when you're feeling fearful, there can often be other things that are coming up around that. So it's worth writing down the problem that you are worried about right now, and then how you feel about it, and write down. It might be overwhelmed, it might be panic, it might be anxiety, it might be stressed, it might be indecisive. There can be lots of different things that are making you feel fearful. So write down what those feelings are. It's really important that we acknowledge feelings. And I know for having done lots of work since being a coach, prior to that, I would not explore feelings at all. It's just shove them in the box, don't want to talk about them, and move on. What then happens is they come and bite you on the bum. So what I would say is, by exploring your feelings, you're giving them a voice. They're just a thought process. They're just to help you understand the temperature of what's going on right now for you. So F, write down the feelings that are going on for you right now. Then E, the next part of this, is to express them. So ideally, you want to express them out loud. Now, often when you express them out loud, they sound ridiculous. So it might be, I feel really nervous putting a blog post out there, and you write it down and you've explored some of the feelings coming up for you. And then you start to think, really? Is it really that bad? I'll press publish on this blog post. Maybe it will be that I don't like it. I can unpublish it. It's not the end of the world. So E is for expressing, but it is saying it out loud, not just writing it, but actually expressing it out loud, because what that does is takes away the power of the fear and the feeling. A is then acknowledge it. It's okay for you to feel that way. It's just that temperature gauge. So it's just acknowledging the feeling. Okay, I'm noticing you. Not sure why you're showing up right now, but I notice you. And R is then releasing, and it's just choosing to release that feeling, to say, okay, instead I might be feeling this fear, but I'm going to release it right now, and I'm going to take that particular piece of action. And then if need be, if you're an introvert like me, it might be just go and have a lie down for half an hour once you've been brave. and then come back to do something else later. But the message here is, work through the feelings, really express them, acknowledge them, because then you're saying it's okay for me to feel this way. It's just how I feel, and I'm all right with that. And then just allow yourself to release them. Now, I used to always have trouble with letting go, and I've dabbled with the angel cards and oracle cards and all of those kind of things, and I love seeing what comes from them. But I would always get a message around letting go, or someone say, oh, you just need to let go of it. And it's like, I can't do that. I don't know how to do that. And one lady I worked with a few years ago, she said, you think that letting go is hard work. It's literally just releasing your grasp on that particular thing. So there's no more work to do. It's just you allowing. So what she said was to light a candle and put your fear, whatever that fear thing is, into the candle and set an intention for it and say, once that particular candle has burned through, I have then released that thing, because it allows your brain a little bit of time to catch up. It sounds crazy, but it really does work. So sometimes you need really big candles, sometimes you need a lot of big candles. But if you just play around with the idea, it really can make a difference. So it's just another way for you to release and to let go. This is the number one thing that you really want to work on, because it will be the difference between you being successful and not. Mindset is massive when it comes to creating a business. There will be lots of things that will happen. You know, somebody will say, oh, they didn't like that particular part of your program, or somebody won't sign up with you, and it can knock you off your feet. And when you work on your mindset, you recover much quicker. A bit like a baby with those baby steps that falls over, they just stand up again and carry on. And that's what working on your mindset allows you to do. So F for feelings, E for express, A for acknowledge, and R for release. Really work on fear. You've heard of a lady called Colette Barron-Reed. She's just done a post actually around this and saying, instead of fear, go to trust. So trust that everything's going to work out well in your business. Trust that you're taking the right action. Trust that your business can be successful and that things can go well for you, rather than the opposite, going into the negative. Oh, sorry, I did the screen wrong. Just trying to work out how to turn it off. To the next slide. Here we go. So next up, I want to talk to you about 5 ways to connect, because you want to get visible in your business so that you become profitable. And I created this 5-step model a few years ago that I still use today. And it's a really great way for you to think about building your business and creating your business, getting the foundations right. It doesn't matter what level of business you're at, this is still a great tool to go back to. I go back to it time and time again as I bring new things into my business. So number 1 is about your passion. You need to get passionate about what you do. So obviously it's not just the passion. You need to be good at what you do. There's no point just coaching in an area and just winging it. You do need to be really good at what you do, but you want it to light you up. So as Simon Sinek said in his video, I want to call it the golden circle. I'm not sure it is, but anyway, it's about everything starts with why. There's a video that he's done. Check him out on YouTube. He talks about how knowing why you do what you do, and the why of why you're passionate about what you do, is really great driver for you in your business. It helps you go back to your motivation. So if you're finding things a little bit challenging, you can go back to thinking, okay, why am I doing this? What's the really the bigger reason for me doing this particular thing? So you need the passion and the skill set, obviously, to back that up. And that's your step number 1. So if you're having tough days, it's going to be what gets you out of bed in the morning to go and serve your clients. Number 2 is dreamies. Now, often people will call these ideal clients, and your ideal client avatar and all sorts of different things around that. I like them to be dreamy clients. I want to, work with people that are fun, that are lighthearted, that will want to take action in their business. They're not, not too over serious about themselves or their business. They realize that you can play and you can enjoy life and enjoy your business and have fun with it and all of those kind of things. So there's certain qualities that for me make up my dreamy clients. And you want them to be clients that excite you for whatever reason. And you can sort of explore what those personality traits are that make up your dreamy clients. Maybe go back and think about some of the clients that you've worked with in the past. What was it about them that you really enjoyed your time, when you spent time with them? What was it that you enjoyed? What were their thought processes? It's not just about the books they read and the films they watch and that kind of thing. I know if I stood up all of my clients in a row, they would not all be reading the same books. They would not be watching the same films. They would not necessarily be going to the same places or connecting with the same people, etc. It's some of the innate qualities around them. So maybe it's more the personality traits and that kind of thing. But knowing your dream is in the traditional ideal client avatar way is one part of this. The other part of this that you need is to build the emotional connection. So what is it that your dreamy clients are struggling with? So what's their internal dialogue going on in their heads? If they had a typical day, what would they be telling themselves? What would they be saying to other people? What would they be fearing? You know, all of those kind of things will help you build that emotional connection. So understanding that then helps you to work out what number 3 is, which is your offer. You need to know what you're passionate about, what your skill set is. You need to understand who you're working with, how you help them, what they're struggling with, and then you can actually create a really good offer for them. So this is why I say I always go back to this model, because I want to make sure I'm always passionate about what I do, because if I'm not, that passion, that lack of energy is going to come through. People will know when you're not excited about what you do. It just shows, whether you want it to or not. You can only keep up a facade for so long. It will shine through. So going back to who would this offer be for? So these are the particular group of dreamies that you want to work with. This is what you're passionate about, what you're really good at. And this then is a combination of you offering whatever it is that fills that emotional connection, that thing that they're struggling with, their pain points, and the problem that you're trying to solve for them. Okay. So 1, 2, and 3 are really when you've hit your sweet spot. You've got all of those in alignment. Then you can go and get your message out there. What often happens is people will go and put their message out online, and they won't have thought the other 3 areas through. And while it can be tedious figuring out who your dreamers are and what you offer and how you help, really once you get that nailed, it really does make a huge difference. Now I'll share a story with you. When I first started in my business 7 years ago, or nearly 8 years now actually, when I started in my business, I remember going onto LinkedIn and everyone was saying, well, you need to niche and you need to understand who you are and what you do and how you help. And I actually shamefully wrote a post on LinkedIn saying, I'm not going to do that whole niche thing. I'll figure it out as I go along. Hopefully nobody can see that history of that post and that profile that I initially put out there, because over time I realized actually niching was the biggest difference. That once I got that, it made a massive difference to my business, because everything that you talk about is around that particular area. The way you help, every single message, blog post, newsletter, social media post, every conversation is around what you do and how you help, which is why that 1, 2, 3, those 1, 2, 3 steps are really important you get them right. So number 4 then is how you then turn that into your message. So when you're talking about what you're passionate about, you're talking to your dreamy clients, you're connecting with them emotionally, and you've got a specific offer that you can share with them that will help solve their problem and move them from A to B. Number 5 really is the visible piece, and we have to be visible as leaders, or queens as I call it in my world. We have to be leading, and we will have a tribe of people, our audience, our dreamies, that are following what we do. And it's then, once you've got that message, you decide what kind of visibility you want to do. So do you want to be on LinkedIn or Twitter or Facebook? Do you want to write blog posts? Do you want to write books? Do you want to run workshops, whether online, offline? Obviously, things are slightly different now, but we will get back into that space where things can be face-to-face as well. So you start to think about what's going to be your method of delivery to your tribe. And you want to do things around visibility that are exciting to you. I spent a lot of time doing videos. I enjoy doing videos, but they don't excite me particularly, but writing does. I love writing. And I'm not frightened to be on camera. I actually got coaching around this to say, was there some kind of thing, a sticking point for me that I didn't want to be on camera? And it doesn't bother me at all. But I just realized I'm much better when I write, because I really get into it and I start to share much deeper messages than when I just share on camera. So I realized my passion wasn't around video, and I do still do some video, but it wasn't around that. It was more around writing. So then when I talk to my tribe, it's about writing. So it's writing books, it's writing newsletters, it's writing blog posts, recording blog posts that I turn into podcasts. So it's different ways in which you can do that visibility. So instead of jumping in at number 5, I would encourage you, no matter where you're at in your business, just to go back and review all of those steps and make sure you've got those nailed, because that will make a bigger difference to you. Once you've got clarity around your niche, especially, and the people that you want to work with and how you help, your message will be much, much stronger. Then the piece around visibility for your tribe is actually going to connect with people on a deeper level, rather than you just being all things to all people. So that's my 5 ways to connect to get visible and profitable. So Dawn, I just want to come back to you now and just see if there's any questions around that, if I can figure out how to get out of my screen.
Well, I was just going to say, because you do great slides and they're quite cute, it got stuck on the fear side, so we didn't see that slide with all the numbers. I did discreetly send you a message, but you were so in the zone, so perhaps you could get that slide up just so we could quickly
do that there. Sorry.
Steps are, please. Thank you.
Let's look. Oh, I've gone to black and white mode. There with me. Can you get it now?
Well, I can see. Yes, that's it. So
I may leave it on this format. So yeah, to recap, so number 1 is your passion. So what are you passionate about? What's your skill set? Number 2 is who are your dreamers, but not just who they are. How can you make that emotional connection to them? So that will then come across in your message. So let's say, for example, my Queenie's fear would be part of it. It's fear of what to say, how to say it, fear of getting out there, of being visible. It's fear of stepping up as a leader. It's fear of, knowing what the next steps are to take. It's then also thinking around what's the strategy? How can they work smarter, not harder? How can they start to outsource when they're not used to doing that? And there's fear around the financial side of the business of, if I put this out to someone, give a piece of work to someone, how am I then going to be able to cover this off as a business expense? All of those kind of things are part of the emotional connection that I then make. So around boundaries and all of those kind of things. But knowing my dreamies really well helps me to understand that emotional connection. And then that comes across in the message that you put out there. So has anyone got any questions on that? Do you want me to leave the slide up, Dawn? And maybe you just ask if there's any questions? Would that be easier?
Yeah, just leave it up for a minute in case anybody wants to refer to it. That would be great. Thank you. I mean, you mentioned earlier that I had quoted Elizabeth, that great book that was made into a movie, Eat, Pray, Love. But you're quite right. She's brought out a big magic book, hasn't she? On creativity. But what I liked about her TED Talk today, well, I don't know when she did it, but I listened to it today, was that she said, although it's a paradox, the opposite of fear is intuition.
That's nice. That's really nice.
She said you close your eyes and you think about your fear and you tell yourself that when you open your eyes, your fear will be gone, and you can then be free to listen to your intuition. And in actual fact, it wasn't her story. That comes from a true story of some woman who was lost in the jungle for 11 days. And in her first 24 hours, as you can imagine, in the jungle lost, she was absolutely riddled with fear of the noise, everything from all the animals. And she taught herself that technique in day 2, otherwise she wouldn't have survived. So that's how she says she survived 11 days in the jungle, by simply closing her eyes, giving herself, I suppose, a talking to and saying, I've got to learn to trust my intuition. I cannot hear my intuition while fear is making so much noise in my head. And it was Elizabeth who shared that story, which I thought was really poignant, actually, at a time like this.
It is, and I think that's the thing. Our default is fear. For me, I've stepped away from social media a lot more because of how everything's going on. I actually have a timer now. I go in for 15 minutes in the morning, 15 in the afternoon. Everything else is scheduled so that I'm not sucked into the fear and panic of everyone in the world.
Yeah. One of the questions that has come through, Ruby, is how do you write engaging content? Because as we just said, on social media, you're timing yourself. And David's got a great quote it's obviously not his quote, but I've heard him share it about how we're drowning in information and starved of knowledge, you know. And somebody on one of our connect and have a coffee type morning said, not so much crowded as noisy, because now everybody is on social media because our world is virtual. So how do you write engaging content that not only sort of stands out from the crowd, but helps you get heard in an increasingly noisy market?
Okay, so first of all, I think there's a trust element there again. Trust that whoever's meant to see your content will see your content. I think there's a lot of fear around algorithms and people not seeing and all of those kind of things. Yeah. And different platforms at different times work well. And then they'll change and another platform will be better than that one. And I think just trust that the right people will see you. In terms of writing engaging content, that really does come back to your dreamies, really understanding what is it about them that they're struggling with, and then talking to that person, to those struggles. So I don't know if I've got it here. I could maybe share it as a template for you. It's like a little storytelling template that I created for one of my trainings, Dawn. Mm-hmm. And it gives you like where you share. It's like a 4-step template for sharing your story. Mm-hmm. Often your story is the most powerful thing that you can share. Mm. So, and often you'll be working in an area, you'll be passionate about a particular area because that's been your life journey, your life experience, and that kind of thing. So when you can share a story, it's going to be much more engaging than just saying, I've got this offer, I think this will be really good for you because, and you're talking about all the different things. Mm. When you say, like I've just done a post, for example, in my group yesterday, I took a week out because I wanted to take a step back from my business. And then I talked about how, you know, as queen, sometimes you need to retreat. I knew that I needed to take a step back to be able to take a step forward. So it became a personal story. Then at the end, you can share what that offering is that you think is relevant to people. And people will, when you want to stand out and be different, the easiest way to do that is just be you. And I say easy because it's easy, but it's hard. It's simple, but it's not easy, is what I should say. So, you know, if you're trying to copy everyone else and you're trying to be like everyone else, you're not going to stand out from the crowd. I'll use an example of one of my lovely clients. She's doing co-working. And of course, because of the situation at the moment, everyone's jumping on the bandwagon and running co-working sessions. Now, that was actually her main area of business. So she started doing really fun things, like she's wearing a wig and saying, this is the kind of fun you have. And all of her posts are really fun. She's saying how she's out and about in her world in France, and how she's doing all sorts of different things like chainsawing and all this kind of stuff. Yeah. So she's bringing some of her personality into it, and that makes her stand out from everybody else. So I've always said this, Dawn, haven't I? Be the fabulous you. Yeah. and it really is true. Be the fabulous you, and don't be afraid. Don't wear masks. Share who you are and share some of those things that are important to you, why they're important to you. It doesn't mean you have to bare your soul. It doesn't mean you have to tell every single in all the single ins and outs of your daily life, because that's not interesting. We want the headline stuff, and that's where this storytelling. So what's the headline to this particular thing? So one of the things that got me into mindset, for example, and I've shared a story of this over the years, is I hurt my back many years ago. And I could talk about the pain and, the injections and the hospital visits, yada, yada. Nobody wants to know that. But what I do share is that because of my mindset, I got better. Because of my mindset, I took baby steps, and you can take baby steps in your business. I didn't think about I need to get to walking. I thought about I need to take 10 steps, 1 step, even if it was that, I was that slow. Couldn't walk across the room from one, like, without crying. It was that bad. But sharing that story of the doom and gloom, people don't want to know, but they want to know how you overcame adversity. They want to know, what's made you successful in life or business. And if you're in the early days of your business, what's been your journey so far, of things that you've overcome, and how can you use that as part of your story to help other people? That's when you get engaging content. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, it does. It reminds me of a quote from Christine Stengler, who incidentally is a German lady, and she is the world memory champion. Just
Oh,
sort of throw that in. She backs up what you say, Ruby. She said, the more striking the story, the better. That's how you engage. And to pick up on you know, being your fabulousness. I mean, we're always told, write what you know. Well, nobody knows us better than we know ourselves. So it's about being authentic, isn't it?
it is. And I think also notice when you're captivated by a post, because that, and start learning about writing as well. There's that element to it as well. If you're not strong with your writing skills, well, one, go back and check, is that the thing you're meant to be doing? Maybe you're meant to be doing video or some other method. But I think have a look at posts that draw you in. What is it about the post that draws you in? Is it a story, or is it someone just selling something? What's the attraction to that post? And start to apply some techniques that you can notice them using. That can really build your strength in writing engaging posts.
And another question is, do we write for one person?
I would. I think it helps, but it's whatever works for you. It's about finding your way. Some people like to think of a group of people, but I think if you know, if I think about when I'm writing newsletters, I will tend to think about 4 or 5 people at once, my main dreamy clients, and then that puts different perspectives on it, rather than it just being one person and they'll have one way of thinking. I tend to think of it as a few, but a lot of my clients prefer just to write to one person. So it's whatever you feel comfortable with, and play around with it. So there might be certain clients for you that are have got particular personality traits, and when you're writing to them, you want to write about that particular area, and that would appeal to them, but it might not appeal to client number 3, for example. So for me, having a group of them sort of in my mind, I find that a lot easier to write for. But it is about finding your way on that, really.
And of course, if you're doing it on social media, you don't know them because they're not your clients yet.
No.
So you're very much talking to their pain, but as you say, not telling them how bad it was for you, but how you overcame it, giving them hope.
Yeah, definitely. And you're kind of just giving that, like I say, the highlight reel of this happened, this is how I overcame it, and then you can turn it back to them to ask them a question.
So what are some of the exercises in your chapter in the book, How to Win Clients and Keep Them, that you share that's really going to make the difference and help our listeners?
Okay, well, let me go back to my last slide for you. Bear with me. So you should have build a discovery call confidence. Have you got that?
Yes, I have.
Okay, I'm going to leave it there. I'm not going to put it on a slideshow.
Okay,
so if you want to bring in clients, one of the things that I found really, really difficult when I first started out in business was how to actually get people onto calls to have conversation with them, particularly with coaching. I mean, there might be other service providers on the call with us, but I'm thinking specifically here around coaching, mentoring, that kind of thing. So we have obviously our discovery calls where we have a conversation and we take them through a process. So I think step 1 for this is really about creating your process. When you get somebody on a call, what you want to do is help them understand that you're the right person to work with. So you're taking them through steps of, right, this is where you are, this is where you want to be, this is how I can help you. So it's almost like a journey. You're helping them to see the possibility of how things can be different with your support. You're getting to understand what their key problem is without solving it on the call. That's one fault we all can get into. We try and solve it on the call, we lose a client. So it's about creating a process for a discovery call that you can then follow. And it can be as simple as a guy called Matthew Kimberley, who, when I was first learning, I was doing a sales program with him, and he was saying, I think he had a 4 questions to it. I'm just trying to think if I can remember them. So what is it you want help with? Would you like support with that? Would you like that support from me? And there's a 4th question. I'll see if I can find it while I'm talking to you. So what you want, though, is you want to create a process. You want to understand what their problem is, really get to the bottom of what the problem is. So understand, how is it impacting them on a daily basis, how they would like things to be instead, and then you can then offer the solution to them at the end of that call. So in the book, I take you through the step-by-step of that discovery call. One of the things you need to know before you go into that call is your service really well. So you need to understand, where I went back to that step 3 of the offer, you need to understand what is it you're offering and how is that going to fit with what they require. So that way you know you're offering the right service, and they will start to make the connection that you're the right person to work with. Now, the reason I've got 100 in brackets is I had a coach many years ago who basically, I was getting stuck with a program that I wanted to sell, and she said, write down 100 benefits of your program. I could have killed her, honestly. It was an awful exercise. But what I had to do was do tangible benefits and intangible benefits. So when you've done that list, you know your service so well. There is no doubt whatsoever on that call. You are really, really confident, because you know that it not only does it solve that problem, there may be knock-on benefits as well, intangible benefits. So for example, let's say it's helping your clients to bring in dreamy clients. They might sleep better. If they sleep better, they might have better relationships. They might have better friendships. That can have a massive impact. So by knowing what your service offers in terms of intangible and tangible benefits, you're going to feel a lot more confident. You need to have 100% confidence in what you're offering, because it will come across. You will notice if you're wavering, thinking, oh, well, I think this might be the right service for you. You want to be, I absolutely know that I can help you with this particular problem. These are the ways in which I can help you. Would you like to find out more about it? And here's more information about that service. Okay, but because you know what that particular service is and the benefits of doing it, you will feel confident in what you're offering. The other thing that you want to do is you want to actually offer, write down a list of the objections. What are the main objections that are going to come up for you with a client on that call? So number 1 is often money. Money isn't usually the problem. Money is because you haven't convinced them that you're, with your services. And I don't mean convince them as in manipulate, but you haven't shown them that your service is the right fit for them. So this is about you, they're not seeing it as a priority, and they may have other things that are a priority. So what you need to do is you need to ask them, so if money wasn't the issue, would this be the right service for you? And if they say no, then you can explore that more. And if they say yes, then you can start to talk to them about different ways in which they could work. Maybe you could talk to them about the next package down, or maybe you could come up with a bespoke way of working with them once you know what their budget is. But if you explore the objections, so money might be one, time might be another. Maybe your program is labor intensive and you might think, well, actually, maybe I could cut that back a bit. So it will give you suggestions, give you ideas of different things that could come up before you've even had objections on the call. You can write down a list of the kind of objections that might come up. Some people might say, well, I haven't got enough energy for it, or it's just not the right time for me right now, and that kind of thing. So once you know those things, you can start asking questions around them. So for example, if they said, well, the timing isn't right for me right now, just say that's absolutely fine. If it's not a good fit for you right now, when do you think it would be time for you to make those changes or whatever? So you kind of coach them on the call, but not coach them to the whole solution so that you lose a client. It's about just helping them to move forward and understand where they might be holding themselves back. Once you've got those objections, you can then talk about how to overcome them, as I say. Now, I'm just trying to search these questions as well for you at the same time, so just bear with me.
The fourth question is probably, so when are we going to start?
Yes, probably, yeah.
So these are all exercises that readers can work their way through. In fact, we're putting together a workbook as we speak. It's ready in the first draft. So shortly, for anybody who's bought the book, they can also buy the workbook. So it's going to be a fantastic journal. Plenty of space for you to do all these exercises, because obviously in the book itself there wasn't any room for leaving white space, but I know you've got plenty of exercises in the book that will take people through this process, haven't you?
Definitely, yeah, definitely. And it goes into more detail. So one of the things you want to do is practice, practice, practice. So for 18 months, what I did is I buddied up with a friend, and each week we would work on a different program or service that we wanted to offer, and we would have a discovery call with each other, and we'd say, well, what do you think about this and what do you think about that? And it was 18 months, so we spent a lot of time working on it and perfecting it. And it was like, no, you're giving me too many options, and no, that doesn't make any sense at all, and no, you haven't sold it to me, and really being completely honest with each other. And over time that builds your confidence. So then obviously you're not just doing those calls with your buddy or friend or whatever it is. You can then go and practice some of those things and test them out and come back and talk about what progress you've made. And it doesn't mean you won't make mistakes. There's still times now. I mean, I've written a program all about discovery calls, and even now sometimes I'll jump on a call and I'll go back to my old ways and just go really quickly through it and then wonder why somebody doesn't sign up. Whereas when I take them through a process that supports them, they still go away with some really good things, tips for their business. So it's not a waste of anybody's time, whether they buy from you or not. It's not a waste of anybody's time. You're sharing things to move them forward. You're helping them to move forward. So you're coaching, but you're not just not coaching the full solution. You're coaching them to help them make a decision. And over time, you'll find that the practice just gets easier and easier. And you will still make mistakes. You will still think, oh, why didn't I talk to them about this? And I forgot to mention that. And that's okay. And I don't know who said
a check sheet, Ruby. Do you have a check sheet that you can share with us so that you don't do those things on that call?
I've got it. I've got not a checklist, but in the actual book, I go through the process that we've talked through. But I can add that into the workbook if you want to.
Yeah, that would be a good idea.
Yeah. So one of the phrases I love is practice makes progress. Practice doesn't make perfect. There's no such thing. Yeah. So measure your progress. So let's say today when you talk to people, you have 20% of them sign up with you. As you make more progress, you might get 30%. So just measure your progress. And if you're not making progress, then, start to think, how can I improve this process that I'm working on? What could I do differently? And each time you have a discovery call, just notice, write down maybe 1 to 2, 3 things, saying, okay, what could I do better? So this time I learned that when I said this particular thing happened, or when I didn't say that, if next time I would do this differently, and write down one different learning that you'll take away from it. And the more you do that, the more you'll find you'll be able to make progress. And obviously the key thing is getting the people onto the calls in the first place. But I think the more you're confident you are, the easier you are to invite people onto those calls as well. The easier you'll find it to invite people onto those calls as well.
Of course, you can apply that. Sorry to cut in, Ruby, but you can apply that process to the writing before you even get the call. So you do your writing and do your conversion rates. How many people are responding? So this post got nothing. This poster got 3. This poster got 10. What was it that drew them in? And then they become prospective clients making that discovery call. So it's the whole process, not just the call.
It is. It absolutely is. And then afterwards, so obviously you'll have created your process, got them onto the call, gone through all of the different calls with them, done all the practice. Then you need to follow up. And this is the one where people really leave money on the table. They don't follow up. One of the things that I am well known for is following up. And I talk to clients that I have spoken to for 7 years. I will go back out and say, hi, how are you doing? Not because I want to necessarily sell them something. If they want to buy from me again, that's amazing. Excuse me. But it's about keeping in touch. I genuinely want to know what's going on with them. And also this follow-up process, it shows you care. And I think there was something I found a few years ago in my old HR notes. I'd been to this sales training way back. I'm talking probably about 15, 20 years ago. And it was very early days. And this person had written about, I think it's about 0.8. Once you get to about 8 times of being followed up, then that's too many. And what we tend to do is we do, 1, 2, or 3, and even 2, I don't want to follow up with them. What you're doing is helping them to make a decision. So one of the things that I do is I'll say, hi, so-and-so, we had a discovery. Well, first of all, I would invite them straight back onto a discovery, a further call 2 days later. Just say, okay, so I've given you everything that you need to know. Is there anything else that you need to know to help you make a decision? Let's jump on a call in 2 days' time. You put it in the diary, and you invite them back onto that call. Some people won't show up because they don't want to buy from you, and that's okay. Often people will, and then you can learn a lot as well about what worked, what didn't, why they haven't bought from you, or it might be that they are signing up. But what you can also do is reach out to them if they say, well, I'm not ready, I don't really want to book another call in. Just reach out to them and just say, you know, I know being in an indecisive place, having not made a decision, can be uncomfortable. So what information do you need from me to help you make a decision? It's very gently done. I've never had any complaints about it. In fact, I get commended on it because it feels comfortable. People don't feel like they're being bullied into a sale. It's just a simple, is there anything else you need from me to help you make the decision? I might say, it's not right for me, and just say, that's absolutely fine. Love to keep in touch. Let me know how you're getting on, and then just check in with them again if you feel it's relevant. And if it's not, then move on to somebody else.
And is all that detailed in the book and the workbook in terms of the step-by-step follow-up process?
It is, yes. It will be as well. Yeah.
So, Ruby, I've got a couple of questions for you. How does having a book help you overcome the sorts of objections that you've talked about right now?
Having a book, I think.
Yeah. So being an author, a published author, how does that help you deal with your client objections?
It builds your credibility, because people will read about you before they've even gone onto your website, so they know a bit about the way you write. They know about your if you brought your personality, because mine's quite quirky. So, you know, I have dreamies and not attract ideal clients, all of those kind of things. So people start to get to know you through that. So there's that know, like, trust factor already being built. You're also showcasing your expertise, so people feel that they can trust you because they know that you know what you're talking about. So already you've passed a few hurdles just by having written that book. I know, like you say, it's a bit like a business card. There's something about when people have a book that you'll view differently, and I think we all do it. It's whether it's a conscious or unconscious thing, we just say, oh, you know, they must know what they're talking about because they've actually written something on it. So they've done the research, or they've got the experience or the life journey, etc., to have been able to write the book in the first place.
Okay. Wow, fantastic. Any other questions while we have Ruby's undivided attention, please? I really like the exercise of releasing a fear or whatever it is that you need to let go of while you're waiting for your candle to burn down. I think
Brilliant. It's fun, isn't it?
Really good. And as you say, if it's something really big, get a big church candle.
A big church candle. That's a lady called Tanya Arla who created that, who told me about that. It's brilliant.
Ah, lovely. Okay. Anybody got any questions? You can just write them in the chat box. Otherwise, I think we're more or less done with questions and samples of exercises. What, if anything, would you like to end with, Ruby, to entice any of the listeners to follow up with you?
Okay, so I'd like to talk about discovery calls. I created a program called Discovery Call Magic, and it helps you how to get people onto the calls in the first place. So it talks about how to create the calls, how to hold the calls, step-by-step template, walking you through every single process. So it's a video/workbook training program. There's a process for KISS, which is keep it simple, sweetie, not stupid in my world. So keeping it simple for creating the whole process of following up with clients. So whether that's automated or manual, it talks you through the process for doing that. So everything is a lot easier. If I had to think about who I'd spoken to 3 months ago, I wouldn't be able to give you a list. This is a process that allows things to be put on automation. And I mean automation as in just reminding you to follow up with people. So it doesn't have to be complicated. It can be a very simple system, or it can be highly automated depending on what you want. There's also bonus training in the package on using Facebook group to get clients. Normally you have to sign up for it, and when you sign up to my visibility quiz, you get this one-time offer. And so the actual price is going up to $297 for the program, but at the moment it's £67. So if it's something that interest to anyone, I've given the one-time offer you'd normally get if you signed up. So if they click on that link, providing they access it within the next week, then anyone can have it for 67 instead of the 297 that it's about to go up to. It's currently 197, so it's still £130 saving as it stands.
Good. And do you have plenty of books, how to win clients and keep them in stock?
Yes, I do. I do.
Good. Okay, so that's still at the early bird price of £12.99 plus postage, and £9.99 if you want it in PDF version. So we don't have any more questions, so I think we'll wrap up. Thank you to everybody for your questions and your interest, and thank you especially to you, Ruby, for bringing your chapter to life in that wonderful book, How to Win Clients and Keep Them. So I've got some messages here just saying thank you, very informative. These are great tools, looking forward to the workbook. Thank you. So well done, thank you, Ruby, and everybody enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll see you another time. Ruby. Yes?
Dawn, sorry, I've just noticed there's another question that we've missed, which which place is best to get clients? Facebook or LinkedIn? Aha, the $1 million question, if I could just quickly answer that for you.
Yes, please do.
Where are your dreamies? That's why you need to know where your dreamies are. You need to be able to make the emotional connection with them. So are your dreamies going to be on LinkedIn? Are they going to be on Facebook? Have a look at the types of people that are on each of the different platforms, and then think about the type of people that you work with, your dreamy clients. Where would they normally be? Where do they post most of their messages? So it used to be the thinking that LinkedIn was for more corporate, of a certain age, etc. Facebook is seen now as kind of 50 plus, I think, even in some one of my clients was telling me yesterday. Wow. Although I would have said it's younger than that. Then you've got things like TikTok, you've got Instagram, you've got all of these different platforms. So the thing is, once you know your dreamies and the kind of message that you want to share, you can then be in the right places. So my message used to be just visibility, and visibility for me was very much on Facebook. So it was much better for me to be on Facebook. Now that my message is more about leadership and mindset, and then visibility is one of the pillars, leadership is much better. I get much better traction over on LinkedIn. So it may change as your business evolves and grows. So I hope that answers your question. Knowing your dreamy clients is going to be the key to where you hang out.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately you've got to find out where they're hanging out.
Exactly.
There's no point in being interested in health and then writing in horse and hound or country life or something. You've got to find the right target audience and find out where they're hanging out, what they're doing, what they're reading, what they're interested in, and then write and speak to that need. Well spotted. Oh, we've got another question just popped in.
It's just saying thank you.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. All right.
I'm just checking. No, that's it. Brilliant. Okay.
So,
fabulous.
Thank you, Ruby. Fabulous as usual. Go and let you enjoy a cappuccino now.
I'm going to go out in the garden. That sounds a perfect plan. Thank you, Dawn. Yeah. Enjoy the rest of your day, everyone.
Oh, thank you very much. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.